Take Care is the second studio album by Canadian recording artist Drake, released November 15, 2011, on Young Money Entertainment and Cash Money Records. It is the follow-up to his 2010 debut album Thank Me Later. Production for the album took place during 2010 to 2011 and was handled by Noah 40 Shebib, Boy Wonder, T-, Just Blaze, The Weeknd, and Jamie XX, among others. With the album, Drake sought to record a more cohesive recording than his debut album, which he felt was rushed in its development. Expanding on the sonic aesthetic of his debut album, Take Care features an atmospheric sound that is characterized by low-key musical elements and incorporates R&B, pop, electronica, and post-dubstep styles. Drake's lyrics mostly eschew boastful raps for introspective lyrics that deal with topics such as failed romances, relationship with friends and family, growing wealth and fame, concerns about leading a hollow life, and despondency. The album has been noted by music writers for its minimalist R&B elements, existential subject matter, conflicted lyrics, and Drake's alternately sung and rapped vocals. One of the most anticipated music releases in 2011, Take Care experienced several delays to its release date and subsequently leaked to the internet 9 days before its scheduled release. It was promoted with 8 singles Marvin's Room, headlines, Make Me Proud, The Motto, Take Care, HYFR, Crew Love, and Lord Knows all of which attained chart success, and Drake's Club Paradise Tour in 2012. The album debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 chart, selling 631,000 copies in its first week. By April 7, 2013, it had went double platinum, selling 2,003,000 copies, according to Nielsen SoundScan. Upon its release, Take Care received generally positive reviews from music critics, who commended its expansive production, emotional themes, and Drake's songwriting. It was included on year-end lists by several publications, including the New York Times and Los Angeles Times, both of which ranked it number 1, and earned Drake a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album. Background and recording. The album follows the success of Drake's 2010 debut album Thank Me Later, which became a commercial success and was well received by music critics. It also continued Drake's creative partnership with record producer and audio engineer Noah 40 Shebib, who had first introduced his distinct sound on Drake's breakthrough mixtape So Far Gone. Prior to Take Care, Drake also expanded his repertoire as a live performer. For the album, he intended to have Shebib handle most of the production and record a more cohesive sound than on Thank Me Later, which featured disparate production duties by Shebib and others. In November 2010, Drake revealed the title of his next studio album would be Take Care. In comparison to his debut album, Drake revealed to YC Radio 1 that Thank Me Later was a rushed album, stating, I didn't unregistered trademark get to take the time that I wanted to on that record. I rushed a lot of the songs and sonically I didn't unregistered trademark get to sit with the record and say, I should change this verse. Once it was done, it was done. For unregistered trademark SY my new album is called Take Care because I get to take my time this go round. Drake mentioned after OVO Fest 2011 that Take Care could have up to 18 songs on it, and added that Stevie Wonder contributed to the creative direction of the album and will be featured on the album as well. Drake also revealed that the album was recorded mainly in Toronto. Debating whether to submit his final cut or not, Drake's preferred release date motivated him to create a birthday edition, much like a deluxe edition to be released on the iTunes Store. Some producers that were revealed to be working with Drake on Take Care other than Noah 40 Shebib include T-, Jamie Smith from the XX, and Boy Wonder. He had initially recruited Ninth Wonder for the album. He even appeared on Ninth's documentary The Wonder Year and expressed his desire to make a number 1 hit with him. However, in an interview about a month prior to the slated release date, Ninth said that he was not on the album. Ninth states that part of the reason was because he was going through an A&M playing beats for them as opposed to the artist himself, which he is opposed to. Drake had also planned on having Q-Tip, DJ Premier, and the Neptunes produce on the album, but those projects fell through as well. Some artists that were confirmed to be collaborators with Drake on Take Care consist of Stevie Wonder, Kendrick Lamar, Chantal Kreviazuk, Andrew Copyright 3000, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Rihanna. He had initially reached out to Fonte of the former group Little Brother, who is a major influence on his career. A track was made for Take Care but it did not make the album due to an issue with the producer. Drake admits in an interview to dropping the ball on the project and is optimistic about a future collaboration with Fonte. He also wanted to collaborate with Justin Timberlake, stating, "The song was gonna be dope, it was produced by Noah 40 Shebib. It was solid, a solid little look. But he's so immersed in the acting thing, and I don't blame him, he's doing great at it. He was just like, I really want to work. I just can't do it right now. But we'll work as soon as I'm back in the studio." Music, Take Care expands on the low-tempo, sensuous, and dark sonic aesthetic of Thank Me Later. Primarily a hip-hop album, it has a languid, grandiose production that incorporates R&B, pop, electronica, and post-dubstep styles. The music is typified by an atmospheric sound, muted textures, slow tempos, subtle chords, melodic synth tracks, low-end grooves, and sparse, ambient arrangements. Noah 40 Shebib contributed to most of the album's production with murky beats, dark synth layers, atmospheric keyboards, moody guitar sounds, smooth piano, muffled drums, dramatic flourishes, and low-pass filters. Although he is credited as producer for only 8 of the album's 17 songs, Shebib also served as audio engineer and mix engineer on the album. His production for the album is characteristic of the Toronto hip-hop scene, which experienced a mainstream breakthrough with Shebib's work with Drake, producers Boy Wonder and T-, and singer-songwriter the Weeknd, all of whom contributed to Take Care. Evan Ratulewski of the AV Club comments that the album is crafted primarily around the oblique production of Drake's native Toronto Euro all-rippling synths, distant pulses, and purposeful empty space. Music writers noted late night, and 1990s era R&B in the album's music. NPR writer Franny Kelly notes minimalist reworkings of TLC's minor key soul and trancy rhythms that land somewhere between Paranoid Sly Stone and Smoked Out Maxwell. Ryan Domble of Pitchfork Media comments that the music breathes heavy somewhere between UGK's deep funk, Quiet Storm 90s R&B, and James Blake-inspired minimalism, and interprets its subtle style to be a direct rebuke to the prevalence of European dance influences in mainstream music. Los Angeles Times writer Todd Martin's views that the album's mood and style are modeled after Kanye West's 2008 album 808s and Heartbreak. Other producers' tracks are more up-tempo and shift from the melancholic mood of Shebib's production. Songs on the album are lengthy, sonically expansive, and accompanied by playful interludes. Lauren Carter of the Boston Herald writes of the song structure on Take Care, musical themes vanish and reappear, layers build upon layers and then strip down to bare bones as tightly wound tracks give way to gauzy, lush interludes. Most songs sound intentionally distorted and warped. Drake's vocals on the album feature emotional crooning, alto vocals, a guttural cadence, a melodic flow, and a larger emphasis on singing than on his previous album, Thank Me Later. Lyrics. The album's subject matter expands on Thank Me Later's theme of ambivalence and conflicted feelings toward fame. Drake's lyrics on Take Care address failed romances, missed connections, relationship with friends and family, maintaining balance with growing wealth and fame, concerns about leading a hollow life, the passage of young adulthood, and despondency. The album's slower songs generally explore themes of loneliness, heartbreak, and mistrust. The topic of women is prevalent on the album, with songs that address past and potential lovers and songs about revering and lavishing them. Juan Edgardo Rodriguez of No Ripcord denotes women as the main force in his songs. Hey Euro unregistered trademark is consciously aware about what it takes to love them, but simply decides to thrust aside the guidelines because he's on an entirely different stratosphere from any female average Joe. The album's expositional content is interpreted by critics in relation to contemporary society. Newsday's Glenn Gambo reviews that Drake's emotional self-doubt and realizations about success, along with the album's melancholy mood, captor, is today's zeitgeist of uncertainty and diminishing expectations. Music journalist Ann Powers cites Drake's predicament the inability to locate oneself within everyday power relations as one those afflicted existential antiheroes throughout modernity. She denotes his point of view as that of a biracial upper-middle-class kid. From a position of privilege that few rappers would occupy, and finds his subject matter culturally significant, stating, his melancholia is that of the overly sated. But Drake's relentless focus on the point where money empties out happiness isn't merely autobiographical. It's emblematic of our moment of crashed markets and occupied streets, and it speaks to a generation beginning to question whether the all-American, celebrity-endorsed credit card lifestyle will make them anything but bankrupt. Pitchfork Media's Ryan Domble compares his unrepentant navel-gazing and obsession with lost love to Marvin Gaye's 1978 album Here, My Dear, adding that Drake's penchant for poetic oversharing makes him an apt avatar for the information age. Drake's songwriting is characterized by wistful introspection, existential contemplation, and minimal boasting, with lyrics that convey frankness, vulnerability, melancholia, and narcissism. Andy Gill of The Independent writes that he eschews anger or threat for a weariness shadowed by wistful regret. Music journalist Greg Kot comments that Drake does not indulge in the macho poses that have dominated mainstream hip-hop for decades, and blurs the line between singing and rhyming, adding that he makes his rhymes sound conversational, matter-of-fact, like unregistered trademark talking to the listener 111. Tim Sendra of Allmusic notes that his introspective tone is only rarely punctured by aggressive tracks, boasts, and/or come-ons. Drake's persona on songs shows traits of sincerity, self-doubt, regret, passive-aggressiveness, and self-absorption. Kazem Famuide of The Source explains his conflicted persona as being arrogant enough to know his place as one of the most successful artists in hip-hop, and comfortable enough to realize his own faults in his personal life. John Dolan of Rolling Stone writes that Drake collops his many moods arrogance, sadness, tenderness and self-pity into one vast, squish-souled emotion. Kevin Ritchie of Now notes an overwhelming sense of alienation and sadness on Take Care, calling it an idiosyncratic, aggressively self-conscious and occasionally sentimental album. Release and promotion. The first track Drake released was Dreams Money Can Buy on May 20, 2011 through his October's Very Own blog. Drake mentioned this song was a story of dreams, mixed with reality, and that this was not his first single off the album but that it would be included on Take Care. On June 9, 2011, a second track titled Marvin's Room was released via his blog. Drake initially stated that the song would not be featured on Take Care, but because of the song's unexpected success, prompting it was released as a digital and radio single on July 22, 2011 and will be on Take Care. Trust Issues was then released shortly after on his blog, but is confirmed not to be on the album via Drake's Twitter. He explained that the song was an idea he had from I'm On One and made it just for fun. However, in an interview, Drake stated that Trust Issues, along with Dreams Money Can Buy, will be included in the birthday edition of the album. On September 10, 2011, Drake released a new song titled Club Paradise on his October's Very Own blog. Dropping this for our boy Avery. This was his favorite during the recording process. 2 more songs coming tonight as well. Avoxo, he wrote on his blog. On September 11, 2011, Drake released another track entitled Free Spirit featuring Rick Ross and blogged that another was to be released that night, as well. Later that night he released a remix of Waka Flocka Flame's Round of Applause. On September 23, 2011, Drake released the official album cover to Take Care. On October 20, 2011, an unfinished version of The Real Her featuring only Lil Wayne was leaked online. On October 8, 2011, Drake announced on his OVO blog that Take Care would be pushed back until November 15 because of 3 sample clearances. It was originally to be released on his 25th birthday, October 24, 2011. The Club Paradise tour was revealed to start in November on Twitter. However, it was revealed that the tour was delayed until after Christmas-New Year break so Drake could perform at more schools. An Euro-Ericot and Squeeweed Euro version of the album remixed by OG Ron C titled Chopcare was released on November 29, 2011, and received over 1 million downloads in the first 48 hours. It was featured on a variety of media blogs, magazines, and newspapers. It was included on year-end lists by several publications, including the New York Times, which gave major praise. Singles. The single Marvin's Room impacted urban radio on June 28, 2011 and peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100. Headlines followed as the second single from Take Care and was released via his blog on July 31, 2011. The song is produced by Boy Wonder and 40, and was released to radio and iTunes on August 9, 2011. The song debuted at number 13 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and at number 98 on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. Make Me Proud features rapper Nicki Minaj, and was released via Drake's blog on October 13, 2011, as the official third single. The song was produced by T- and Chromatique, and was released to iTunes on October 16, 2011. The song has peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. The motto featuring Lil Wayne impacted rhythmic radio and urban radio stations on November 29, 2011. It was re-released to rhythmic radio on January 10, 2012. It officially impacted top 40/mainstream radio on April 10, 2012. The single debuted at number 18 on the Billboard 100, with first-week sales of 124,000. It has since sold over 2 million copies in the US, becoming the most successful single from the album thus far and his third single overall to reach the milestone. Take Care featuring Rihanna was released as the album's fifth single. It impacted US top 40/mainstream and rhythmic radio on February 21, 2012. Prior to its release as a single, the song entered the UK singles chart on November 20, 2011, at number 12. It also debuted at number 9 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Take Care became one of Drake's highest-charting songs as a solo artist in the UK and US, with first-week sales of 162,000 in the US. In its 17th week on the Hot 100, the track rose to a new peak of number 7. As of July 2012, the single has sold over 2 million digital copies. HYFR was released as the sixth official single from the album. Lil Wayne is also featured on this track. A video shoot for the song took place on March 21, 2012. The video was released on April 6, 2012. It officially impacted rhythmic and urban radio on April 24, 2012. Crew Love was released as the album's seventh single in the United Kingdom on July 30, 2012. It peaked at number 37 on the UK singles chart and at number 80 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the Canadian Hot 100. Lord Knows impacted radio in the United Kingdom on October 1, 2012. Commercial performance: the album debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200, with first-week sales of 631,000 copies. The album also topped the Billboard Rap Albums and R&B Hip Hop Albums in its debut week. On January 31, 2012, it was certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, for shipments of 1 million copies in the United States. By July 2013, Take Care has sold 2,042,000 copies, according to Nielsen SoundScan. In Canada, Take Care debuted at number 1 on the Canadian Albums chart, selling 48,000 copies in its first week. It has been certified double platinum by the Canadian Recording Industry Association, indicating shipments of 160,000 copies. In the United Kingdom, Take Care entered at number 5 on the UK Albums chart and on December 16, 2011, went gold with the British recorded music industry, with 100,000 UK copies shipped to retailers. Critical reception: Take Care received generally positive reviews from music critics. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, The album received an average score of 78, based on 34 reviews. John McDonnell of NME dubbed it an affecting masterpiece, and commended its delicate, mellifluous sound and unashamedly candid, emotive lyrics. Pitchfork Media's Ryan Domble found Drake's technical abilities to be improved and stated, just as his thematic concerns have become richer, so has the music backing them up. Andy Hutchins of The Village Voice called it a carefully crafted bundle of contradictory sentiments from a conflicted rapper who explores his own neuroses in as compelling a manner as anyone not named Kanye West. Chicago Tribune writer Greg Kot complimented the depth of Drake's moral psychodramas, and stated, "The best of it affirms that Drake is shaping a pop persona with staying power." Shebib of New York wrote that the album is full of gorgeous tones, and the lyrics surrounding them can be rich with meaning. Evan Ratulewski of the AV Club found it plenty downbeat, but also gorgeous, an immersive headphone masterwork that's tender and intimate like little else in contemporary rap and R&B. Ann Powers of NPR felt that the artfulness of this music allows me into that experience. I can make that leap and identify with Drake, or at least be intrigued by multiple characters in the little dramas he designs. John Caramanica of the New York Times called it an album of eccentric black pop that takes hip-hop and R&B as starting points, asks what they can do but have the unregistered trademark T been doing, then attempts those things. In the future an album like this will be commonplace. Today, eat a unregistered trademark S radical. With Take Care, he named Drake hip-hop's current center of gravity. In a mixed review, Cal Anderson of Entertainment Weekly panned its content as one overlong woozy monologue, and called the album a total downer, adding that Drake half-bakes his woozy rap croon and glazes it with sluggish keyboard hums, stalling the album a unregistered trademark S momentum. Alex McPherson of The Guardian found his singing insipid, his rapping inert, and his lyrics hollow, writing that he doesn't seem to realize that introspection is only worth a damn if you're an interesting person. The Globe and Mail's Robert Everett Green criticized Drake's lyrics as drawling patter, and found the songs to noodle around aimlessly. Accolades: according to Metacritic, Take Care was the 9th best-ranked album in year-end top 10 lists by music critics, based on 135 lists. It was named the best album of 2012 by the Los Angeles Times and the New York Times, and was ranked number 3 by Now and MTV, number 4 by Slate, number 5 by Billboard and The Washington Post, number 7 by Fact, number 8 by The Globe and Mail, NPR, and Pitchfork Media, number 14 by Slant Magazine, and number 22 by Rolling Stone and Spin. It was also named as a long-listed nominee for the 2012 Polaris Music Prize on June 14, 2012. In 2012, Complex named the album one of the classic albums of the last decade. Take Care won a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album at the 55th Grammy Awards. In October 2013, Complex named it the 4th best hip-hop album of the last 5 years. Track listing: AA Eurocent co-producer, a Eurocent additional production, notes, on the physical edition of the album, Marvin's Room, and Buried Alive interlude are listed as a single track, and Kendrick Lamar is uncredited. Cameras on track 11 was co-produced by Drake, and Good Ones Go was produced by Noah 40 Shebib. On the physical edition of the album, Headlines has a runtime of 3:26 and features the Crew Love introduction. On the digital edition of the album, the original single version of Headlines is used. Sample credits: Over My Dead Body contains elements of Say Linda South as performed by DJ Screw, written by C. Hill. Shop for Me contains a sample from Anything as performed by SWV, written by T. Armstrong, B. Morgan and A. Smith. Take Care contains elements of I'll Take Care of You as performed by Gil Scott-Heron, written by B. Benton, remixed by Jamie XX. Underground Kings contains elements of Neck of the Woods as performed by Birdman, written by Batman, D. Carter, B. Williams, A. Williams and T. Jones. Duffel Bag Boy is performed by Pliers Circle, written by J. Banks, D. Carter, E. Conyers and T. Epps, and elements of Farmer's Pleasure as performed by Ja Cure, written by Sikacher Elcock. Cameras contains excerpts from Calling on You as performed by John B., written by J. Buck and N. Makes A. Doing It Wrong contains elements of The Wrong Thing to Do as performed by Don McLean, written by D. McLean. Look What You've Done contains elements of If You Scared, Say You Scared as performed by Plyer, written by J. Peacock and S. Garrett. HYFR contains elements of Swanging and Banging as performed by ESG, written by C. Hill. Practice contains elements of Back That Us Up as performed by Juvenile, written by D. Carter, T. Gray and B. Thomas. The Motto contains elements of She Will as performed by Lil Wayne, written by D. Carter, A. Graham and T. Williams, and a sample of Baby Got Back as performed by Sir Mix-a-Lot, written by A. Ray. Personnel, credits for Take Care adapted from AllMusic. Charts, certifications, release history, see also, List of number 1 albums of 2011, List of number 1 R&B albums of 2011, List of number 1 R&B albums of 2012, List of number 1 rap albums of 2011, List of number 1 rap albums of 2012, List of number 1 albums of 2011, PBR&B, references. External links, official website, Take Care at Metacritic.